Hi guys, this is part 12 of the aftermath of the accident. The one where my little Ford Focus was rear-ended by a tractor trailer. Anyway, in this video I'm going to talk about grief. And today's been kind of it's been an off day. It hasn't been a great day. Obviously, yesterday I got a biopsy on my face, and that was painful, and so I was pretty much dragging yesterday. Felt kind of bad, little out of it, a little weak. Anyway, today has been a really rainy day, and so I've just been really didn't do much of anything except, go to the house, eat a little bit, watch a little TV. My ex-husband is going tomorrow. He said to try to go to a futon shop and try to find a futon so that I can sleep in the house. Anyway, I want to talk about grief. I mean, one of the first things I did this morning, I was looking through some old pictures, and, and I didn't really have that many pictures of my little car, but I did find a few, and, and that was taken 4 years ago, it was one of my first really long trips in the Focus. I had been on other trips. I had been on numerous trips to Florida and a lot of Ohio, Kentucky, many other, West Virginia, a lot of other places. But 4 years ago, and I owned the Ford Focus since 2007, or actually like December 27th, 2007. I bought it brand new. So I've had it like 13 years, almost 14 years. So, there's a lot of sadness with that because I've been in the car a long time. I've, didn't live in it, but I, was in it a lot. I traveled a lot. There were times when I didn't travel in it, when I traveled in other vehicles, but I did a lot of traveling in that vehicle. Anyway, 4 years ago is the first time I took the car on a really long trip, and I ended up going to Texas. There's a lot of stories about that. I have another whole story, that I can talk about on that. That's something that has to do with car maintenance, and, and I'll talk about that in another video, because this is not about that. Anyway, I went to Texas, I went to Oklahoma, I traveled all over. As a matter of fact, I started in, I think I went to Boone, North Carolina first, then I went to Morganton, North Carolina, or around Morganton, North Carolina, because I went to the site of, where the movie, The Hunger Games, was shot. I got a bunch of pictures of that, and some slideshows. I do have some slideshows of that. I'm not going to, because I didn't do video back then. In fact, I've just started doing video. So anyway, I do have some slideshows. I'm not going to include that in this video. I'll come back and talk about that later, or introduce you to some of that, some of the pictures. Because I went, anyway, after Morganton, I think I went to Georgia, I went to South Carolina. I know, I discovered a house in Abbeville County, South Carolina, where, a possible, real estate investment. Anyway, and I work for my uncle and his business partners. They're real estate investors. I'm basically, I'm a consultant, a project manager, because I also oversee the rehabbing of houses. Anyway, so I found this old house. Anyway, my uncle and his business partners did eventually purchase the house. They haven't done anything with it, not a whole lot, because it had like 400 acres of property, so they're just now getting started. They waited a long time before purchasing the property to try to get the, because it was in the hands of a realtor, to try to get them the owners, which were heirs, to come down. Anyway, I don't want to go off on that too much. Anyway, after I did that, of course, I spent some time in Georgia. Anyway, eventually I went to Florida, and I actually drove through Georgia, picked up US Highway 27, drove it to Tallahassee, Florida, and then picked up Interstate 10 and just went west until I ended up in Texas. And then I ended up going to Oklahoma. I spent about 3 months in Oklahoma. Toward the end of June, I think it got really hot. I left, drove to Nashville, Tennessee, picked up another route, took me into Kentucky. Anyway, my route was Michigan, so I picked up a route in Nashville, out of Nashville, went through Kentucky, Ohio, eventually, and I did make it to Michigan, and spent probably another month, maybe, or month and a half in Michigan anyway, and then I ended up, going home to the Outer Banks for a little bit. But anyways, in this video, I'm going to talk about grief. I mean, I think I may have already said that, but anyway, I want to talk about grief. Grief is a tough thing. Hold on. I like the light. So I got to turn the ignition to get the light on. It doesn't take long to time out. Anyway, so I was looking through the photos, and looking at all the old photos from today, and, there was a lot of grief. I mean, the very first brand new car I ever owned back in 2007, wrecked it. I was involved in a 3-car accident 6 weeks after I purchased it. Hadn't been in it that long, but yeah, there was, of course there was grief. It was a brand new car. Later, a few years back, I had another car, and I had driven it. I'd owned it for 5 years and drove it on the road. Again, I didn't live in it, but I traveled a lot in that car, and I traveled for 4 years, and I did a lot of traveling. And of course, there were a lot of times when my ex-husband, being the alcoholic that he is, I couldn't stay around him, and I would leave, and go on road trips and stay gone for, I've probably said this before, a few days, few weeks, whatever. But I was in that car for 4 years when I ended up having to trade it for a Chevy Impala. And again, I think I've talked about this, where I would go back to the dealership because it sat there for a few days, and I was just, I was very sad. It was very difficult because it was like, even though I didn't live in it, I was in it a lot. Of course, I didn't live in it, but I was in it so much that I felt like it was, I don't know, like a little, like a second home, maybe, It kind of was my second home, because it's a place that I went to, escape my ex-husband's alcoholism. So it really was a second home. But in some ways, I don't know, waffle between, it felt like a second home, and maybe kind of like a pet almost. Not a living one, obviously, but so, there was a lot of sadness. And then when I got rid of the Impala, there was some sadness, but I didn't own that car as long. I only drove it for a couple of years. So the sadness wasn't quite as great. And I had, and I mean, in each and every vehicle, the very first car I owned, not the very first car I owned, but the first brand new car I owned, that was my very first trip, long trip, where I drove from North Carolina to the Dakotas. And so, go through Chicago. I mean, it was just, a really an amazing trip. Not as amazing as others, but I mean, for me, it was the first time I'd ever, been anywhere really by myself without someone, with me. So, and that was big for me. Then of course the other car that I drove for 4 years, I went to a lot of places. I mean, I drove from North Carolina to Wisconsin, Minnesota, Michigan. I went many times to Michigan. and went to Florida. Just, another, I was in it a lot, took a lot of trips in it. And then, of course, the Impala, I went on 4 cross-country trips in it. In fact, I had never been to California. I drove from North Carolina to California. Actually, I drove from North Carolina. I went to North Carolina to Washington State. And then I think I went to Michigan and then turned around and went back. I actually went from North Carolina to Michigan and picked up US Highway 2 West and drove all the way to Washington State. And then I turned around. I guess I came back to Michigan. I don't remember now, but I think that's what I did. And then I think this was like in the summertime, and then in the wintertime, I picked up Interstate 10 once again, went I-10 West, and drove all the way to California. And then, of course, I made a lot of much smaller trips, like, I made a lot of a lot of smaller trips. And then one of the last trips I made in it, and that's before the transmission got so bad that it was no longer safe to drive. I went from North Carolina to Michigan, came back to Ohio, traveled US Highway 20 east, and went all the way to, went to New York, picked up another route, it was actually US Highway 2 east, and drove all the way to Bar Harbor, Maine. Turned around, came back, drove US Highway 20 west, and went as far as Gary, Indiana, and into the outskirts of Chicago. Of course, I think I hit some of Route 66, and that was amazing. I mean, I didn't do a lot, but I did pick up some of it. And then the last trip, the very last trip I took in the Impala was to Alabama, and it was the last trip that I ever took in the car. It became just too unsafe. The transmission was too bad. They weren't really sure about it. Chevy didn't really want to work on it. Anyway, it was it was the last trip I took in it before before I got rid of it. Then the next year, I turned around and I got another car, which I'd already owned. I didn't buy it. I already had it. And I drove it to California. Ended up going to my first trip out to Utah, Salt Lake City, and of course I'd been to Nevada before. I'd been to Vegas. I've been to Nevada. That was kind of on my bucket list, to drive to Vegas. That was really on my bucket list. I went to Area 51, and the whole, made it out to the Air Force Base out there. Of course you can't go in, but, I was, it's like 15 miles out in the desert. Anyway, did a lot of hiking, amazing. Did some really amazing, trips. I also went to travel through Texas. I also traveled quite a bit through Texas with the Ford. I went to Big Bend National Park. Then, of course, I went to California. Then I went to Utah. I went to the Kolob Canyons, Salt Lake City, turned around, went Amarillo, Texas, and picked up Route 66. I picked it up before that, but anyway, drove from there and traveled Route 66 on down to Missouri, and not too far out of St. Louis, I was rear-ended, and I've talked about this, I think, in an earlier video too, and that's when some may or may not have anyway, and that's when some electrical issues started. After being rear-ended, I started having electrical issues with the vehicle. They weren't that bad at first, just the windows wouldn't work. The radio would come on spontaneously, without me touching it. Eventually, and the windows never did get better. they didn't do it all the time, but anyway, the radio eventually, I think, leveled out. While I was waiting for an estimate on the damages, because it wasn't that bad, you know, it was not that bad, you know, the bumper was a little damaged, but not, you know, wasn't falling off or anything like that. It was just, you know, they just need to put a new one on. But anyway, while I was waiting for an estimate, I took off I'd heard a lot about it, and I'm into haunted stuff, haunted places, have been for a very long time. So I took off to Stull Cemetery in Kansas. That was a great trip. It wasn't, I do not, under any circumstances, believe that Stull Cemetery is haunted. I absolutely do not believe that. But it was still a nice drive out there. It was, it's something, I mean, I did it, and that was, so, I mean, and I enjoyed it. Travel through some of Kansas, so, because I had some free time before the estimate, anyway, came back, went to, anyway, I guess I came back to North Carolina at some point, probably right before September 1st, which is Labor Day weekend and the Apple Festival in North Carolina, because that is one of the my big things, is every year I will go to the Apple Festival in North Carolina, no matter where I'm at. I usually start making my way back, and I probably went to Michigan that year too. I know I did. But, yes, as a matter of fact, I take that back. I know I did it because I went to Grand Haven, Michigan. I remember that now. I got very, very sick. I was in Grand Haven, Michigan, and the Coast Guard Festival came to town. I got really sick, and there were no motels in town. Ended up holding up in a Walmart sicker than crap for days. That's a story I'll go into a little bit later. But and then at the end of August, I headed back to North Carolina for the Apple Festival. After that, I went back to the Outer Banks, and then after that, home to the Outer Banks, and after that, I don't know. I don't remember. Probably out on another trip or something. But, so there's been, I guess you could say, when it comes to vehicles, I've been through a few, and anyway, this particular vehicle, the one that I'm talking about, is a Ford. It is, the dealership said they could not fix it. Currently, it's sitting under the carport at our house, or my ex-husband's house. And right now, I don't know what I'm going to do with it. It's a 2006, 130,000 right now. I have no idea what I'm going to do with it. Send it to the scrapyard. I really don't know. Maybe I can find someone who will be able to figure out what's wrong with it, and then maybe not. I may just have to send it to a scrapyard. And that's a, there's some grief with that. Because, I've had the car, a long time. I've had it a long time. I've had it a while too. And I've went on a lot of trips. I went on a fair number of trips. But that car has not even, I haven't even scratched the surface in that car as far as trips go. I've not driven that car as much as some of the others I've driven, probably because it is a wrecked vehicle. It has been wrecked. And so I've replaced quite a number of parts that pretty much all the old aftermarket parts that were put on have all been replaced, some of them twice. So I haven't driven it as much. And then, I guess you could say that I was told that car basically was unfixable, and I'm preparing to send it to a scrapyard. And then I'm in Charlotte, and this happens. My little Ford Focus gets rear-ended. It's totaled. There's no doubt about it. I'm lucky. I walked away. I'm alive. I do have pain. And I'll talk about that in another video. But, I had just found out that I was probably going to send the other car to a scrapyard. Then this happens. I'm rear-ended. like I said, car's totaled. Neither car, the one that they can't fix, it hasn't 130,000. It's definitely not fulfilled its life. Definitely not. The Ford Focus at 163,000, it has not fulfilled its life. The whole time I figured I would have that car for another probably 2-3 years easy. Because I never had any issues. Matter of fact, it's the most reliable car I've ever owned. Then I go to my ex-husband's. I get my truck, and my truck was basically the last vehicle really that I had. Because the others are all, gone or crap. And so my truck was the last thing I had, and I go to Charlotte and to pick up my stuff, and it craps out. It stalls, it breaks down. So, and I'm gonna do what I can to hold on to the truck, because it's the only backup vehicle I have, and I like to have a backup vehicle. It's still sitting in the lot, the shop. It's been there for 10 days. The mechanic hasn't gotten to it yet. So, all said, I guess you could say I woke up this morning and I started thinking about that. And there's a lot of grief. And then tonight, and I've talked about this in previous videos, where a few months back, I had a friend that, basically, she deleted me on Facebook and got everyone else in my friend group whipped into a frenzy over the fact that she got some friend requests from ethnic men. It's what she called them, ethnic men. And I've talked about this. I can't be 100% that. I feel like in my gut that it was all because she's, a prejudiced or racist person. I could be wrong, but I just don't. I don't see any other explanation for someone deleting me because I have people on my friend list that are not white. That's just, that's the only, and that's the only thing I can attribute it to. And I do have a lot of people on my friend list that are of different races, different religions, from different countries. I do, I'm not going to deny that. I have a lot of people on my friend list that are not from the United States. Or they're from other countries. They're other races, other religions, many of them are not white. It's that simple. And, anyway. And I feel like that, she was coming from that I guess that point, where that's where she was coming from. Maybe, I don't know. Bottom line is that's the reason she deleted me. She said it. So, I'm not having to guess at why she deleted me. She told me she was deleting me because she was getting friend requests from ethnic men. A couple of those men apparently were on my friend list, and she said she got a whole bunch of others, and she attributed those to me as well. Many of them, and those men were not friends of mine. I don't know if they were friends of the two men that are on my friend list, or friends of other people on my friend list. I don't know. But no matter, she attributed all of it to me because she was getting requests from, ethnic men, and so she told me, she flat out told me she was going to delete me because of that. And then pretty much everyone else in my friend group, many of them deleted me. Some of them deleted me. Some of them have gradual, some of them deleted me right away. Some waited a while to delete me, and then, and the rest of them I've had no communication with at all. They are not talking to me. And And so there's a lot of grief, you know. I mean, I went through all of this, and, you know, and on my birthday, and if I appear to be getting emotional, I'm trying not to. I don't want to get emotional. But there is a lot of sadness, a lot of anger at some of the stuff that's happened. Anyway, on my birthday, another one of my, I don't know what you'd call her, friend, acquaintance, I don't even know anymore, messaged me something really snide on my birthday. And I just, on my birthday, and made a big hoopla because last year, and there's a whole other story to this too. There's a whole other story to last year's birthday. Anyway, last year's birthday, my ex-husband said he wanted to throw me a party. And which was all fine and good anyway, and, you know, and we like to dance. We all, you know, everyone in my group, me and my ex-husband, or my ex-husband and I, rather, we dance. When we're good dancers. We're good dancers. And a lot of people like us. A lot of people, you know, I mean, a lot of people really, you know, aspire to, because we are really good dancers. And we go to a lot of the, you know, rock bands, you know, that are playing, or the, you know, the Super 60, you know, Super 60s is one of the bands we go to, you know, and they play 60s, obviously, and some of the other bands we go to play other stuff too, rock, and, you know, just different, you know, bands like that. And we also have a favorite band of ours that we go to that plays, you know, the Temptations and Soul, you know, and you know, stuff like that. So we have a big variety, and there's a couple of other bands we will go to that has played some country. You know, I'm not a big fan of country. I really don't like it, but some of it I do. You know, a little bit of it. You know, I can get into it. It's just, you know, different places, different people. You know, it's kind of what it's about. But anyway, or whatever happens, if we can't find anything else going on, we have backup bands, you know. We would always go, you know, if we couldn't find, we'd have backup bands we'd go to, backup venues, you know, and it's all about the bands, it's all about the venues. Sometimes we like the band but not the venue, sometimes we like the venue but not the band, and anyway, you know, and sometimes we like to try out new bands, but pretty much we have a whole, you know, anyway, that's what we like to dance. And we would go every Friday, Saturday night. Sometimes during the summer, you know, we can go up to, you know, there's a place in Maggie Valley, North Carolina, you know, called the Rendezvous or something. Maggie Valley Tiki Bar, you know, and a lot of our favorite bands play up there. So sometimes in the summer we're going to, you know, dancing on Sunday too. We're dancing 4 days a week. Usually it's about 2 days for us, you know, because since I injured my knee a couple of years ago, so on the treadmill at the gym of all places, so it's a little harder for me to stand up to the kind of dancing that I used to do. But I'm doing pretty good. I'm doing okay. Now after the accident, I don't know. Of course I have not been dancing because of COVID and all that. But anyway, so on my, you know, just back to my birthday. On my birthday, anyway, last year, my ex-husband decided he wanted to throw me a party. Well, at one of our favorite venues. And while he was at it, he decided he wanted to throw a belated birthday party. He wanted to combine my birthday party with a gal he was interested in. Which, by the way, she has no desire. She's not even interested in him. She done blew him to the, you know, she blew him to the sidelines months ago. You know. Anyway, he was interested in her, though, and he thought he could get something going with her. And anyway, it wasn't long. She just blew him, you know, she blew him off to the sidelines. But anyway, He wanted to combine my birthday party with her birthday party because she had to go to Florida or something for her mother. Anyway, so he wanted to combine our birthdays, mine and her belated birthday. Well, and she is a lot closer. I think she's closer to some of the women in the group than I am. And, and she goes to a lot more of the, she goes to a lot more of the Super 60s. They go to like Super 60s every single week. I don't go, I like Super 60s, but I'm not going to go every, I don't go every week, and I don't get to go every week, depending on where I'm at, because a lot of times I'm on the road. I'm either on the road, I'm working, or I'm at the Outer Banks on my boat. So I can't go every week. So, unlike the local people, they can go whenever and then go every week. I can't because I'm either working or on the road or whatever. So I can't. But anyway, he decided that he wanted to do kind of a double birthday party, kind of my birthday combined with her birthday. And there were a lot of people there that were kind of, I think, really excited, because, to have her birthday party, because she didn't have her birthday party. And he thought it'd be a cool thing to do, which I guess in hindsight, maybe, I don't know, maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. But anyways, at the time, my ex-husband was having a problem with my then boyfriend. And he started making a stink about my then boyfriend coming to my birthday party. He didn't want my boyfriend to come to my birthday party. So that kind of set things off in a bad place. It did. It kind of set things off to not the best start. Anyways, so that happened, and he made a big stink about it. He didn't like it. And granted, he's now my ex-boyfriend. We're still friends, but my ex-boyfriend and I, we did have we had our issues. We'd broken up, gotten back together. We had our issues, but none of these issues that really concern my ex-husband, they really don't. They didn't then, they don't now, they never did. I mean, they don't. It's that simple. We have been broken up for a very, very long, my ex-husband and I have been divorced for a very long time. For about 7 or 8 years now. So, anyway. But he made a stink, and I guess, I don't know. I don't even remember how it happened. I guess I said something he didn't like, which is fairly calm, because my ex-husband and I, we're great dancers. We get along great on the dance floor, but then we're not talking. We're not able to communicate. So that's part of it. And everybody loves us as far as the dancing goes, because we're good dancers, and, we look, and we're happy. But but when it comes to trying to share a house or be around each other for any length of time, we don't do that well. So anyway, I don't know what he said, what I said. I said something he didn't like, and he got angry. He jumped down my throat. And, the whole time, the whole part of my birthday, it was Linda. That was her name. Linda. It's all he talked about was his romantic interest. Romantic interest over and over and over again. That's all he talked about, is what he wanted to do, how he wanted it to go for her. They wanted to be a surprise party for her. And, and we were all gonna, and I was gonna be part, and in a lot of ways, toward the end of the little planning that he was doing, and with all the other people in the group, I started to feel like that my birthday had been hijacked. That's how I felt. I really did. Maybe it's wrong. I wasn't being selfish. I don't want to, and maybe I was being selfish. I don't know. But I felt like that, the way things were going is that basically we were planning, I was being told, people were trying to tell me how to plan for her birthday party. I mean, it was my birthday. It was my birthday, and it was supposed to be, I mean, when my ex-husband said it, it was supposed to be my birthday and my birthday party. But all of a sudden, my ex-husband and some of the people in the group, they're all telling me, you know, talking to me, okay, who's going to do this, who's going to do that, you do this, you do that, you bring that, like, and at that point, I felt like that my birthday had just been, I mean, and that's where I started feeling like my birthday had been hijacked, because people were telling me what I needed to do and trying to tell me what food to bring and what this to do and what that to do for her birthday party, you know, for her birthday party. And I felt like at that point, it was no longer my birthday party. I felt like, you know, it was my birthday, and I was throwing a belated birthday party for somebody else. And, you know, and granted, yeah, sure, they can stand up and say, oh, you know, we do all the great stuff. I throw a birthday party for her. Oh, okay, yeah, Rachel's got a birthday party too. Oh, you know, she's got a birthday. Here's her birthday. Oh, yes, but, you know, and that's how I felt. I really, you know, if anyone watching this understands, yeah, I felt like, it's like, okay, I'm going to throw a birthday party for someone else. It's my birthday, and I'm expected to basically throw a birthday party for someone else. And I mean, once people started asking me questions and telling me, what can you bring, what can you do, my ex-husband, everyone started telling me how things needed to go and what we were going to do, you know, and how we were going to do it, you know, how we were going to try to, you know, set it up so we could surprise her and all this. And I'm being told, okay. And you know, and some of the people are in the group or friends or whatever talking to me. Okay, are you bringing this, and how are we going to do this so she doesn't know? At that point, I felt like my birthday it wasn't my birthday party anymore. I mean, that's how I felt. I felt like at that point, it really wasn't my birthday. It was me throwing a party for someone else on my birthday. At that point, that's exactly how I felt. I felt like that I was expected to throw a birthday party for someone else on my birthday. So at that point, my birthday was really, I felt like it was just hijacked. And you know, and at that point I was like, I don't want a birthday party. I mean, if I'm expected to throw someone else a birthday party on my birthday, then you guys can just forget my birthday. I mean, you can just act like it's another day and just forget it. Because I mean, I absolutely do not want people trying to tell me what I need to do and what I need to bring and who I need to contact and how I need to pull all this stuff together for somebody else's birthday on my own birthday. I mean, I don't need that. I felt like that I could just go spend my birthday by myself, and I would have probably I would be happier. Well, as it turned out, my ex-husband and I, you know, he was so caught up with his romantic interest's birthday party that, you know, and then we got into an argument, you know, and at that point, I felt like at that point, I really didn't want to be a part of it. I mean, because it really wasn't, it was no longer my birthday party. It really wasn't. And I don't think the person, his romantic interest, I don't think that, you know, when they did the birthday party, I don't think she was prepared for that. I mean, I know she enjoyed it and she liked it, of course, but I don't think that was her intent. I think she, you know, maybe even felt a little bad, you know. I mean, just afterwards when I talked to her, I think she may have even felt a little bad, because that's, you know I would feel really bad. I would feel really awful. I mean, if someone did that to me, and if someone threw me a surprise birthday party, belated surprise birthday party, and yet it was someone else's birthday and that person kind of got shoved out, I would feel absolutely horrible. I mean, I would have been, personally, I would probably turn and walk out if someone did that. If someone did that to someone that I knew and just shoved that person out on their own birthday, I would have just kind of I would just be appalled. I would probably turn and walk out. I would want nothing to do with that, because that's not a nice thing to do. It really isn't. But anyway, my ex-husband and I got into a fight. We got into a fuss, and I decided that, you know what, I don't need this. So, we started fussing, we started fighting, and that was it. For me, I decided that my birthday just, first off, all he talked about, all he and everyone else in the group were talking about was her birthday. They didn't really, it was just, like I said, do this, do that, get this, make sure you got the party plates, make sure you got the ice, the cake, whatever, and Rachel be in charge of, yada, yada, yada for his romantic interests, party. And at that point I went, you know what, this is not my birthday party anymore. I really don't, this is not, I felt like that my ex-husband, now he doesn't agree with this, but I felt like that he just used my birthday as a way to throw his romantic interest, a birthday party. Of course, in my ex-husband's style, he turned it around when I didn't show up, because I didn't. I left. I said, you know what? I would rather just work on my birthday. And that's what I did. I worked. And I just worked. I just went out. I worked. And I got myself a piece of cake at the end of the day. I went to Walmart. And I got myself a nice little piece of cake. And I had my birthday by myself. Well, of course, he turned it around and made it look like, I was at fault. Who knows what he told him. Probably told him I didn't have to work. Probably told him I didn't, that I got mad at him and left. He turned it all around so that that he looked like the victim, and try to make me look bad. I'm sure that's what he did. He turned it around and made me look bad and tried to make it look like, that he was, what an awful person I was, and he won't admit to what he did. He won't admit it. But anyway, fast forward to my birthday this year. So, of course, Facebook comes up, says it's this person's birthday or that person's birthday, and I did kind of, and I think I posted a birthday cake or something on my list. I don't remember, on my timeline, and I have a lot of food pictures. So I do post a lot of food pictures, a lot of cake pictures. I don't eat the stuff really, but I do like to post, yummy dessert pictures. I post a ton of that. I take a lot of pictures. And so I personally don't do food. I personally do not do food, but I do have a friend that's a photographer that does a lot of food pictures. So I do post a lot of, especially dessert pictures. But anyway, so this year, I had posted a picture of a cake that a friend of mine had made. She'd made it and photographed it. Well, so I put it on there. One of the people in my group, she makes a really snide remark about it, and and I felt like it was my birthday. You felt the need to make a snide remark on my birthday. If you didn't like it, or you don't like something, I just feel like if you don't like something about me, then delete me. Just delete me. If you don't want to see what I post, if you don't like what I post, then delete me. If you don't want to see what I'm posting, if you don't agree with it, then, delete me. And she made a snide remark and then made reference to my ex-husband supposedly throwing me a party last year. A party that got hijacked. Well, and I'm like, that was a year ago. You're going to go back and talk about stuff that happened a year ago? Is there any purpose to that? Because I can't go back and I can't go back and undo that day. I can't go back and undo the fact that I worked that day. I can't go, I can't undo any of that. my ex-husband can't undo what he did. I mean, now he knows that, she basically, she come on to him and teased him, for a few weeks, and then, she threw him off to the side like he was an old shoe, which I could have told him that was probably going to happen, but, he didn't listen. And, I mean, and that's basically, I mean, I don't know if that was her intent, but that's what she did, anyways. And anyway, and then of course COVID hit. I mean, COVID was a major breaker for a lot of stuff, and so there's a lot, lots happened. I mean, once COVID hit, that kind of whatever I had going on was more or less, just any friendships I was developing more or less ended. But the bottom line is and I've done a post on this before. I've done this post, or vlog. I've made a video on this. I've posted about it too, but I have blogged about it, but I've talked about it in another video, that these people, they're not friends. They're really not. They're just acquaintances. And I think that was, I mean, because we were starting to develop friendships, or at least we were trying, or I thought we were. I mean, and then just realize that these people are, they're not, they're not even good acquaintances. I mean, heck, they wouldn't even be good neighbors. I mean, and they wouldn't even be good colleagues or co-workers. I mean, I wouldn't want to work with any of these people. I mean, if I had to work with all these people, I'd walk out. I would. I mean, I wouldn't, if I had to work with any of these women, I wouldn't stay at the job, because I don't want to work with people that don't like the fact that they, got a friend request from a couple of ethnic men, And then when I demanded to know what the men's names were, I don't know, she wouldn't even tell me what the men's names were. You know what? Ethnic men doesn't tell me jack. I mean, if you're going to complain about someone, then you need to come forth with a name, not, it's an ethnic man, because that's just, to me, it's unacceptable. I mean, you need to give me a name. But anyway, that said, and I've talked about this before, she whipped pretty much everyone into a frenzy over these friend requests, and then my birthday rolls around, I get another person from the group who makes a snide remark, and it just, couple that with everything else I've been through. I mean, we've dealt with a year of COVID. I mean, for 2 months, I was pretty much trapped. I couldn't leave where I was living because of COVID and the fear of getting it. And then I just, and then my car can't be fixed, and I lose another car, my truck breaks down. I got, it's just a lot, for this year. And I've said it before, I feel like I'm starting over and all brand new. Hi guys. My phone just decided to cut me off for some reason. I guess it decided I had talked long enough. Anyway, or perhaps it was the app I'm using, because I usually record with this app, the Bloom app, which only allows me 5 minutes. So I don't, if I want to record a longer video, and the last video was pretty long. Anyway, I either use this app, the Bloom app, if I'm going to record short videos, but if I want to, or Sweet Candy Cam occasionally, but not that much, Bloom mostly, or I use Camera 365, and so I was up around 48 minutes. I guess I would reach the maximum that it will allow me to record. That's pretty good, because Bloom only does 5 minutes. So anyways, I was talking about grief, and anyway, I guess I had rambled long enough. So my phone decided to, or something cut it off. I don't know. I keep getting these update the, your phone or whatever. Anyway, so I'm going to end this video now. I was just talking about, I just want to talk about, this video was really about grief and the grief I've been through this year. You know, I mean, it may not seem like that a person should grieve over a car, and I may come back and talk about this a little bit more in another video, but a little more concise. Anyway, there is grief. There's grief with loss. There's, you know, will feel grief with any kind of loss. And I have felt that loss with the loss of the vehicles. People that I thought were friends, people I were hoping maybe we could be better friends, but you know, that's just the way it is. And so I'm starting all over again. I'm at that point where, you know, I don't really have family I can turn to. I definitely don't have any friends at this point that I can turn to, mostly because of one person that, you know, I don't know what she has said or what she, you know, to the other people in the group or the other women I know, but none of them will talk to me now. So I don't know. I don't know what she said or what kind of, you know, my apologies, what kind of lies she's told. I really don't know. What I do know is that pretty much lost, you know, this year was a tough year. I lost my, you know, the place I was living when I was living with my ex-boyfriend. I lost that. That came to an end. I lost my cars. I've lost pretty much every car I've owned this year. Every car I've driven this year, I've lost. I lost whatever you want to call them, friends, acquaintances, whatever you want to call them. I lost that. You know, and so I've pretty much, you know, I've lost pretty much everything. I lost a job. I didn't care about that so much because I can pick up another one. So I wasn't too, you know, but it was a second job, so I'm okay with that. But you know, I've lost a lot this year, and that has not been easy. Anyway, what I was saying in the last video before I ended it before it cut me off, is I don't have really anyone I can turn to now. I don't have family I can turn to. I don't have friends I can turn to. I don't really have anybody. And I've talked about this in other videos where I ended up having to call Ubers to get, you know, 2 hours to my ex-husband's. And then the only person really that I can the only person that I can even halfway rely on when he's not drinking is my ex-husband. And I mean, that's a sad state of affairs, I guess, if you ask me, but that's where I'm at right now. The only person I can rely on is an alcoholic, and a person that doesn't always treat me the best that he should, but he's the only person that I can even halfway rely on. So that's where I'm at right now, and I'll probably come back and talk a little bit more. But anyway, this is long enough for this video. It's nearly an hour, so I have rambled on and on and on, and I'm sure probably no one's going to want to hear it. But anyway, good night, good day, God bless.